Bold faith, real truth, no apologies. Stand your ground, say what you see. Elsa and Clay, bring the truth out loud. No backing down, no bowing out. Turn it up, let freedom roll. This is the Elsa Kurt Show.
Well, hello there, stranger. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am just peachy. Clay and I were just kind of chuckling a bit off air. I just cannot even wait to get to our last topic, which is always the comments section. And I just want to, before we get into our regular topics that we have planned, I just want to say congratulations to Clay for going viral, for going mega super viral that we're aware of on just one platform. That's Instagram. We have a video there that hit 2.2 million views currently where we're at. And y'all are going to be pretty
2.2 on yours.
Yes.
And then it got duetted on another one where it picked up another 1.9 million views. So it's somewhere in the 4 million view range. It's the only time it's ever happened to me. And we will, when we get to the end, it's baffling because it's not even controversial, folks.
Wait until you guys hear what it's going to be about. But before that, we're going to get right into our topics. Very first topic we want to talk about is that even the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I blanked out, guys. I'm like, is that even right? I feel like there was something else that was first. No, we're good. We're talking about the SAVE Act. If you guys have been watching the coverage, you think that, something radical, insane was just proposed by the reaction. And that's the part that gets me the most, that the reaction to something that is so matter of course is such a big ruckus. What the bill actually does is to require proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Like, that's it. That's it. That's the big whoop here. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act is built around the basic premise that American elections are for American citizens, y'all. Shocking, right? So the left response has been predictable, right, Clay? They're framing it as voter suppression, particularly for, of course, minorities and married women, because, we're going to lose our right to vote because we changed our last name, apparently. Clay, weigh in. What do you think of all this?
Yeah. So SAVE obviously stands for and I screw this up, so I have it written down. So it's the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. Which, like you said, is it's essentially voter ID, which every single country in the world besides the United States requires identification to participate in national level elections. And so, it is photo ID, which is what I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I think 85% is probably the mean number that we've seen. 85% of Americans support photo ID, voter ID.
Right.
And so this isn't anything that America doesn't want. Like, it's not even close.
No.
But, like you said, the playbook from the left is, minorities will be, adversely affected. Married women. I have seen claims from people as, noteworthy as Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton, saying that the rights of women, especially married women, their right to vote will be taken away, which
it's so dumb.
It is saying that is the most racist and most misogynist thing that you can say. Yeah. To say that minorities, specifically African Americans and women, are incapable of obtaining a photo ID, which most of them already have, to say that they're incapable of acquiring those is completely downplaying and really insulting to both of those demographics. It's shameful.
And to not even, like, you mean to tell me you really don't realize how incredibly insulting and racist that is to say that a minority does not have the brain capacity to figure out how to obtain a license? Like, is that, that's because that's the message you're sending, is absolutely what you're saying. And, to imply that the female population is too feeble-minded to, again, be able to figure out how to change their name on their social. I think you just change your social security. That's like the only thing. And of course, you have your marriage certificate. Your birth certificate never changes. Obviously, that one stays the same. But this is not a complicated. It's an inconvenient process, yes, but it is a process. You do it. It's actually very simple. And I feel like we're pretty capable, Hillary. I think we can figure it out.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing because think about all the things that we have already that require a photo ID, right? If you want to drive, photo ID, every state. If to purchase alcohol, photo in every state. Purchase, cigarettes, nicotine, whatever, photo ID, every state. If you want to go buy a cell phone, right? If you want to get a mortgage, if you want to take a loan from a bank, if you want to start a bank account, if you want to, like, there literally everything, like little kids, like basketball, soccer, traveling teams have photo ID for every on the roster, right? Like that's been going on for decades. This is not a difficult thing. And again, it is unbelievably insulting to so many people to say, oh, well, there's no way that married women can figure this out, because they haven't, their birth certificate says one name and everything else says another name. It's just too hard. I mean, like how, like if I was a woman, I would be so pissed. Like,
right?
That is unbelievable. And it's coming from female leadership within the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
This harder than anybody else. It's crazy.
Yeah. And, the only conclusion that you come to, and we may joke around plenty and call them stupid and dumb and all those things, but we know damn well that they're not. We know that the reality of this is very academically smart people banking on the stupidity of the common folk, the easily led. And whoa, what a surprise. Get your Handmaid's Tales costume on and start marching around like a bunch of, idiots, useful idiots, and, protest because, Hillary and whoever else up at the top there said that that's what's going to happen. So that must be the case. God forbid you actually do a few seconds of critical thinking and, I don't know, an ounce of research to find out if that's true or not, if you're really in doubt. I mean, common sense should tell you that that's absurd and ridiculous and not the case at all. But clearly common sense has left the room for an extended period of time here. And they just, it does boil my blood, Clay, because it is exactly what you said. It is so insulting. It is so ridiculous. And, it's just, it's like the nail in the coffin for the proof that, what they're really freaking out about is not being able to get all of their illegals to vote. This is what it's all about. This is the clearest indicator, as if there weren't already plenty, that this is what they're freaking out about. Like if you have to prove who you are in person with a photo ID, now we can't rig the elections anymore. So too bad, so sad, guys.
Yeah, adding insult to injury, they don't actually care, nor do they really think that married women and African Americans can't get an ID. But what they can't say out loud is exactly what you said. And that is, if we take away, if it's U.S. citizens only, then the illegals can't vote. So we've got to keep this open. That's the only way, that this works. So they're actually they're exploiting married women and African Americans, right, to protect illegal aliens and allow them to vote. They don't actually care whether or not married women or African Americans vote. They care if the millions, although millions less now, but millions of illegal immigrants have the ability to vote in the United States. So and the idea behind the SAVE Act is it's federal, right? For federal elections. California at state level, do whatever you want to do. We don't care
what you're going to do. Yep.
Illinois, New York, wherever, Texas, every state, you set up your own state level, whatever your state level Congress decides, you set up your own election laws. But at the federal level, for a federal election, these are the requirements.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's it's going to be an issue. And the biggest pushback is from all of the, like you said, all the usual suspects. It's California, it's New York, it's Illinois, it's Minnesota, it's all of those states that are pushing back against this. And the same people. There is a trend now in social media. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there are, the conservative reporter on the street kind of folks that are how do you feel about voter ID? And they will go, and I've seen probably 4 or 5 of these where they will go to a number of African Americans, they'll go to a number of Hispanic, Latino, they'll go to Asian, they'll go to everybody but truthfully white people, and they'll say, what do you think of voter ID? And almost all of them will say, I'm all for it, it's a good thing, only Americans should vote, blah 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 blah. And then they will go to the white 20 somethings either in college or just out of college, and they'll ask them, they'll be, you'll get the answer, that you expect. Oh,
Right.
it's racist, it's oppressive, it's this, it's that, blah, 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 blah. And it's that, again, it's the usual suspects
Yep.
that are buying into the media BS
Mm-hmm.
and everything that's coming out of the DNC about this. And they're buying it hook, line, and sinker. Thankfully, they're in that, they're only in that 15% that we're talking about who is against voter ID. But
Right.
folks, this has got to, they're talking about a filibuster. The Dems are, because right now it's past the House. It's about a 50, literally a 50-50 JD Vance tie-breaking vote. It might be 51-49 or maybe even 52-48, but it is right at the hash mark on whether or not this would pass a majority vote in the Senate. So we'll see what comes out of it. I think they have the votes to do it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's so crazy, isn't it, Clay, to even be having this conversation? Like, this is one of the most no-duh kinds of things. Like, it's American elections. It's United States elections. If you're not a citizen, like, it's no different than any previous year. Like, there's no argument there, that I don't think there's any argument. Like, this has always been the case that you should be, a citizen of the country that you're voting in, paying taxes in it, doing all of the things, but, namely being simply a citizen. So there's no reason to not prove that you're a citizen. There's no reason to be offended by proving that you are who you say you are. And like you said, Clay, and like so many of us have made the point millions of times over, in almost every facet of life, you need to have identification to prove who you are, to show who you are. So why should this be any different? You show, all of the things that you listed. I mean, I can't get on an airplane without ID. And as we know, that's the most important thing to me, to be able to get to those grandbabies. But come on, it's just silly. But I do have a question, though, and I don't know if you can answer this, Clay. What's the actual enforcement mechanism, so to speak, of guaranteeing that? Like, is it literally, like, I know, like, speaking of the airport, when you go to the airport, you hand over your ID and they put it, or different places do different things. But most of them, I think now they put it in this little machine. I don't know what that machine is, but you put it in the little machine. Obviously it reads your identification, whatever code is on there, and spits it back out. I mean, would they be doing the same things for voting, having something like that just, like, I guess, records?
I don't know what the hardware software is going to be. It may very well be an ID check. Just a simple verification.
Like
you're walking into a bar, buying a pack of cigarettes, whatever it is. Yeah. But that alone will deter people from, from voting, illegally voting, right? No illegal immigrant, truthfully, is going to try and fake their way into an election booth with a fake ID with risk of being deported.
Right.
Like, that's not happening. Now, if they're given a state ID, right, or they're allowed to go vote and nobody's going to check it, which is what's going on now, then of course they're going to vote. But if they've got to go in, present photo ID, and the person looks at it and they go, nope. And not only nope, but this isn't you. And there's probably going to be security standing there. And there's probably, you know what I mean? Like, all of those things.
Right.
So I think it's a deterrent in and of itself, having the mechanism. I actually will be more curious about what are the consequences for not actually following the law. So what happens if there's a polling place and they walk in and they're not checking photo IDs? Like, what happens there? Does that whole polling place get decertified?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, are they going to, cop in civilian clothes, or somebody in civilian clothes, walk in there and run a sting operation with a fake ID and see if they get caught or not? Like, I don't know how all that's going to work, but I know the idea is to obviously protect the integrity of the election and minimize the amount of voter fraud. And I think this is step one as a deterrent. And I think that it'll progress and they'll come up with ways of enforcement like you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great first step. It's a great start. Obviously the state elections is super frustrating, really, when you think of their, freedom to just continue to do this on the local level, to have fraudulent elections and all of that nonsense. That's infuriating. And frankly, every citizen should have in their own state who's not following suit with something like this, you should be pissed. Like, you should be furious that because you're discounting your own vote by basically saying, I don't care that people have to prove who they are in order to vote, because if no matter what side of the aisle is you're on, I mean, the claim has been tossed back and forth so many times, right? Everybody calls everybody a cheater. So why would you not want, why would you not want proof? Why would you not demand that your state legislators do what they need to do to pass their own SAVE Act, in their area? I don't know.
And again, that's why they are hiding behind the married women, African American, because they can't come out and say illegals.
Yeah.
They can't say illegal immigrant. They can't say any of that stuff. So they've got to hide behind something else. And so what they've decided to do is call a decent part of the American population stupid and incapable. Exactly. That's the direction they're going. Yeah.
Right. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go global for a minute, or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, and talk about went on or what's been going on over in Munich. It's the security conference. The Munich Security Conference is supposed to be about serious geopolitical conversation. Instead, we got a little bit of political theater there with the likes of AOC and a few others there. Senator Rubio, my guy, love him. He delivered what many described as a sober defense of Western security priorities. I didn't watch all the stuff and things from this, but that was one of the ones I went back and watched the full clip of. And boy, he's just so good. I just love his delivery. I know some people maybe wouldn't, but I actually love his delivery. Yeah,
it's been called his best speech ever. So listen, folks, if you haven't seen it, I recommend you sit and watch it.
It's really good.
Got a standing ovation at the end of it.
Yes, he did. Well deserved.
And there's also now, because of that speech and truly his ascension in the last probably 6 months, maybe 9 months, there is discussion about who the actual next GOP presidential candidate is going to be. Is it going to be J.D. Vance, which is what everybody has assumed?
Right.
Or is it going to be Marco Rubio, who has truthfully been a rock star since President Trump brought him on? And this speech and his delivery, the content is so good.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, the Dems sent their non-all-star team, proved themselves to be non-all-stars. So you got a little bit of AOC, you got a little bit of Hochul, you got a little bit of Secretary Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and even Gavin Newsom tried to get over there and nobody would talk to him. So
nope.
You've got a clip, right?
I do. So there's a little montage, just a little comparison of, I think it's, we've got Rubio up first, then it's going to roll right into AOC, and then it's going to roll right into Hochul. And y'all just make your own comparisons and you decide for yourself who may or may not have done a better job of it. So here it is.
Into the interior, followed the footsteps of French fur traders and explorers whose names, by the way, still adorn the street signs and town names all across the Mississippi Valley. Our horses, our ranches, our rodeos, the entire romance of the cowboy archetype that became synonymous with the American West. These were born in Spain. And our largest and most iconic city was named New Amsterdam before it was named New York. And you know that in the year that my country was founded, Lorenzo and Catalina Giraldi lived in Casal Monferrato in the kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. And Jose and Manuela Reina lived in Sevilla, Spain. That America is charting the path for a new century of prosperity. And that once again, we want to do it together with you, our cherished allies and our oldest friends.
And Congressman, I'll start with you. Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States, and I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point, and we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
On Ukraine, what does victory look like?
No, please, I'd love to hear your answer.
It is. The two that I am on the panel with are much more steeped in foreign policy than a governor is. But I do think that Ukraine's independence, keeping their landmass, and having the support of all the allies, I think is the goal from my vantage point. Go ahead, Ambassador, do a better job.
Yeah. So
Whitmer, not Hochul. We were wrong on it. Just
sorry. Yeah, my bad.
easily
Yeah.
confused.
Yes. Yeah, you really are actually. I think it's just a level of Botox. Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to. Sorry. Sorry. I try not to make a habit of commenting on other women's appearances. That one slipped out. I do apologize.
So AOC had another 2, maybe 3, at least 2 missteps in that. Obviously, there was discussion of her as a vice presidential or even presidential candidate, and she can't articulate anything regarding our national policy or position on defending Taiwan.
There was so much fluff. She was right in line with a Kamala Harris word salad. I mean, if it was a competition, it could have been a tie there.
But then she also, said that Marco Rubio, the claim about, the history and the roots of the American West, cowboys and those kinds of things coming from the horses from Spain, coming from Spain.
Oh, right. Yes.
She said, well, he should probably talk to the Mexicans and African-American slaves about that, and got waylaid on social media because she did not know or understand that the Spaniards brought the first horses to North America. So yes, cowboys, like, that heritage does generate out of Spain. And then the other one, she was talking, they asked her about Venezuela, the Maduro raid. And she basically said, he's not an elected leader because he whatever, falsified the election, or he canceled the election, or blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't mean we have the right to just remove an elected leader. So she counteracted herself. And then she said, just because the country is south of the equator, which get a globe, young lady, because Venezuela is north of the equator. So she acted like an idiot, as expected. Like I said, Gavin Newsom, nobody would talk to him. And then, did you see the clip of Secretary Clinton and the? I did see it. Yeah, tell him a little bit about that one. Yes. Yeah. He called her out on TDS, just straight up. He was discussing with her, said something about, how cancel culture, they've seen from Europe's, at a distance, the effect of cancel culture and, and those kinds of things, and talked about how President Trump is doing the right things. And Secretary Clinton lost her mind and kind of went after him. And, and he remained very calm and said something about, we know there's only 2 genders. And she jumped in again and said, well, one of those genders he's trying to take all the rights away from, and blah, 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 and he basically looked at her and said, I know that this panics you.
That's awesome.
And so again, the Dems sent their non-all-star team, and they performed up to expectations. Yeah, absolutely. And the proposition of AOC as their vice presidential co-candidate there would be a wonderful, beautiful thing. Please do it, guys. Please Can you imagine do it. Either one, whether it's Vance or Rubio, in a debate with her. She would end up crying. Because it would be so brutal. So, I mean, that's like putting a dragon with a flea in a debate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know where the heck that comparison just came from, but that's the first thing I could think of. Go figure. I don't know. And going back to, just to kind of go sideways for a second, going back to that question of will it be Rubio? Will it be Vance? My goodness, that is a tough one, isn't it? I can. And I have nothing whatsoever at this point in time, nothing against Vance whatsoever. I'm highly, highly fond of him. I'm highly fond of a Vance presidency at some point. However, I can also say that in my opinion, Rubio has possibly a much wider crossover appeal because he is so steady. He's so calm. He's so, and not to say that Vance isn't those things. Vance can be certainly fiery, absolutely, and I love that. But Rubio's delivery is just so, he's just the stealth bomber, and I think he just comes with straight facts. But yeah, I don't know. I could see it because he's had more experience. He's got more connections. I don't know. I love them both, and I would be pleased with either. But if you really forced me to pick, I would probably say Rubio. Yeah, I think if Vance, the problem is Vance is the VP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be a bigger problem if he was an 8-year VP. He's
Right.
not. He's only a 4-year VP. So
Mhm.
I think he'd have to take a little bit of humble pie. But if they put Rubio in as the presidential candidate and Vance in for another 8 years as the vice president,
Mhm.
but Rubio used him in such a way to grow him into a president
Position
for
him.
8 years.
Yeah.
Gave him a lot of responsibility, gave him a
Mhm.
lot of spotlight, like those kinds of things. I think it could be done. I don't know, if Vance would want to do that or not.
Right.
I don't know to be honest with you, I don't know if Rubio would want to be the vice president for 8 years.
Right.
honestly.
Right. Yeah.
He might, but he might not.
Mhm.
So I think, I would really love for both of them to spend 8 years as the next 16 years as our next two presidents.
Oh my
after
goodness.
President Trump
Yes.
comes out of office. But I think we're gonna hit a crossroads. There's gonna be an issue here in about 2.5 years where we're gonna have to, figure this out. So,
Mhm.
but Rubio's,
Well,
he's a rock star. Like that guy
he's
is
such a rock star.
and he's on such a if you think in terms of a pro athlete, like
Yeah.
right now he is in his prime and he's
Yeah.
firing on all cylinders. So like this would be, pick your
Mhm.
favorite athlete,
Right.
if he walked away, if he did these, this
Mhm.
great job, sex state, and then walked away, it would be like when Jordan retired the first time.
Yes. Oh
You know,
my
and everybody's
goodness.
like, no, he's got so much more
Yeah.
left.
Don't
Like,
go.
he's
Don't
playing
go.
so well. He just won 3 championships.
Yeah.
Like, don't go anywhere.
Yes.
But that's kind of the feeling I would get if he just got up and walked away and didn't,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I don't know. Be so. I'm just. I wouldn't say I'm anxious about it, but I'm bated breath, waiting to see what's going to happen with that. And hopefully they're going to go by what what the consensus is, what people seem to really want. And I agree that would be very hard. I would imagine for Vance to step back and step aside, or switch roles like that, stay in the same role technically. But at the same time, he's got a great out to be able to do that. His family is growing,
Sure.
take this time to, I don't know, give a little extra focus to that. I mean, it's a great out to say, listen, I want to be right here, but I'm good with taking just a little step back as my family's growing and coming for you. And, 8 more years, whatever the case is. So we'll see. We'll see. It's all speculation, obviously, and no one can know, what's going to happen, but we'll see. They probably don't even know. I mean, they'd still, I doubt that there is a plan, because so much could happen in such a short period of time, really,
Last word on this, though, folks. Seriously, if you haven't watched Marco Rubio's speech, go find it and watch it. It's the best thing you'll see on TV probably this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Loved it. Here's something I don't love. 0 stars. Do not recommend. Oh, Timmy. So Tim's demanding federal funds over IC. So basically enforce the law, send the bill. Now let's talk about Governor Walz demanding federal dollars to fix what ICE broke. I love the irony in this, don't you? Minnesota governor arguing that immigration enforcement actions have harmed local communities and that the federal government should pay to repair the damage. This is one of those moments I want to put on my Greta Thunberg and say, how dare you? How dare you? But I mean it. How dare you, you tiny little man, you absurd little man. Go ahead, Clay, because all I can come up with is rude things to say at the moment.
Yeah. So he what he's asking for is $200 million, I think is the figure, of federal funds to, like you said, Elsa, to repair things that were broken, quote unquote. And there's no accounting for this, folks. There's no profit and loss statement that's going to come with this to say, hey, we lost X amount of dollars in this category and X amount of dollars in this category. And, our roads need to be repaired and that's going to cost X amount of, you know what I mean? There's none of that. Mm-hmm. This is just a swag. This is just a number they're throwing out there. And, but he's asking for $200 million of federal funds after losing $9 billion in fraud of federal funds. Yeah, with a B. Yeah. With a B. $9 billion in federal funds to all the Somali fraud that's going on in Minneapolis. So, the audacity to even ask for this is unbelievable.
Again, how dare you?
But Walz has never been known to be a smart guy. We learned that very quickly in the last few months of the last election, how dumb he actually is. So asking for it shouldn't be a surprise. Right. I know that the entire White House, not even the close staff, but everybody on the staff of the White House is probably itching to be the person to tell him to go F himself. And
absolutely.
It is crazy. And I have not seen a response. Have you seen a response, a statement?
I haven't. And I think no response is probably the best response, right? Like almost like, yeah, you're not even getting a response for this. We're not even reacting to it. You get nothing. You get nothing, sir. No anything. The absolute, like you said, the absurdity to call for chaos, which is what he did, called for the citizens to behave like absolute lunatics. He called for chaos, and now he wants to send the invoice for that chaos to Washington. I don't think so. And then I'm pretty sure that that's what they're saying too. Like they're probably laughing about it and, I don't know, throwing tampons at a picture of him or something.
It is. Yeah. So, you can claim a lot of things. But again, this is very much the same as, I hate to say the other things that we're talking about, and that's the lack of self-awareness of, like who the DNC, who the Dems picked to represent them at the Munich Security Conference, to, knowingly send AOC, Whitmer, Secretary Clinton and Gavin Newsom, like that's your representation. For that to happen, and then to have this happen with Waltz, to be shocked by it, I think we're all including myself, like I'm an idiot for being shocked by this.
Yeah.
Because we should just come to expect this level of dumb on a daily basis. But for whatever reason, it continues to put me on my heels every time something like this happens. And even more so, I shouldn't be surprised by Waltz because he's dumber than the rest. And yet this is what we get.
Yeah, I mean, he and those of his ilk all do that same thing of, I just imagine like them sitting around listening to all this stuff and, hearing not necessarily us, but other people, pundits, commentators, all of those things, saying things like, he can't possibly be dumber. Like he can't get more stupid. And he's like, hold my beer. Hold my beer. Yes, I can. I can. I could be as dumber as that. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I feel like it's like a competition with himself to be more absurd each time that he opens his mouth and does something. So yeah, I just can't even. It's too silly. It's too silly and it's too dumb. And it is, I'm laughing and we're laughing about everything. And it's technically, like, we know, guys, it's not funny because it's at, the citizens' expense and all of our expense, really, to some degree. So for that, it's not funny at all. But it's like sometimes all you can do is just laugh a little bit about it and shake your head. So I don't think he's going to get anything. Do you think he's going to get anything?
I don't think he's going to get a dime, but I would make him itemize it. And then I would audit, and then I would audit the submission.
Oh, I like that.
Based on the level of fraud that's happened in that state. Right. I would tell him, you want $200 million, itemize it for me. I want to know every penny, what everything is going to cost, where you got this amount from. And then I would audit everything he submitted. And then probably at the end of it all, after making it extremely painful, not give him a dime. Because
I love that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's amazing.
And in reality, right, Clay, he's probably just blustering, right? Like he's just making some noise to make it look good and sound good, make him feel like a tough guy.
Which is his legacy's destroyed. Yeah, that's already gone. And he's already said he's not running for office again. So I don't know what he thinks that he or anyone else is going to gain out of this, except to make it look like President Trump and the GOP don't care about the people of Minnesota or, blah, blah, blah. Listen, folks, no one in the GOP ever anticipates winning an election in Minnesota.
Right.
When President Reagan ran for re-election, right, and he won 49 states. You know which state he didn't win? Minnesota. Right. No one ever expects, no GOP and no Republican ever expects to win anything out of Minnesota. So Waltz can bluster all he wants, and he can try and make the GOP, the Republicans, look bad. In his state, it doesn't matter. Truthfully, it does nothing. It doesn't help him. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't do anything to anybody. He's just running his mouth and looking dumb because it's not affecting any voting or any elections of any kind.
Nope, absolutely true. But nonetheless, we'll keep watching to see what happens there. Let's see. Next up, let's talk about Pam Bondi. So you got some conservatives who are cautiously optimistic. Others are very wary of what Pam's been doing or not doing, I guess, depending on your perspective. She has a record as Florida's attorney general, and she's been vocal in defense of Trump. Those are all the givens. Question isn't really whether she's loyal. The question is whether she's independent enough. At least this is a question some people are asking. If she's independent enough to pursue justice cleanly and consistently. So I have very mixed feelings about her, to be perfectly honest. I championed for her early on. I liked her. I liked how she presented. I liked that she seemed to have that tough stance, all of those things. It's kind of hard right now, Clay, isn't it, to see what she's actually doing? I mean, I just feel like not enough is happening, right?
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you said, I said, people, everybody across every platform that you can monitor, where are the arrests? That's what we want. That's what President Trump got, elected on. The Epstein files are the easy answer. Nobody still to this day has been arrested. We could go through a whole bunch of things that she hasn't accomplished. And again, that's why we're conflicted. You and I had this discussion even before we started recording. She did present herself, and remember, folks, she was the second choice for this job. Yeah. It was Gates, Matt Gates, right? Was supposed to be the attorney general. Basically, everybody told President Trump he's not getting confirmed.
Don't do it. He's not the one.
So they pulled him. He dropped out, whatever it was, and then they put Pam Bondi in there, and she made it through. And so she's second choice for the job. She's a, whatever you want to call it, a firebrand, a bulldog. She's not a pushover. No. But at the same time, she went into Congress this past week and testified and was in there, and she was wagging her finger. She was talking smack to, sitting members of Congress, making accusations, making offhand comments. Truthfully, she probably should have been held in contempt for the way she was acting.
Pretty fiery. Yeah.
But at the same time, zero humility, zero. Right. And, in the sense of, we all want the arrests. We all want tangible results. Yeah. Right. She got put in that job. President Trump got elected into office so that these people would be held accountable. Right. We collectively, and I don't care what party you're in, we collectively have not seen accountability that we anticipated, in November of 2024 when we all went to the voting booth. So
frankly, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, she's to me, it's been a continual disappointment in her performance. And last week was a prime example of that.
Yeah, I mean, to put it plainly, we have wanted from day one to see heads roll. We want the heads to roll. Yep. We don't care whose they are. We genuinely, and that is the biggest misconception from the left regarding the right and our loyalty to specific people, whether it be Trump or somebody else. I don't care about any of them. If you're guilty of any of these things, I want your head to roll. I don't care who you are. I absolutely don't. Yes, I would be disappointed if it were people that I have spoken up for and defended and all of those things. Sure, but it's not nearly enough to not want to see those heads roll. I just caught, before we did this, I was kind of scrolling through looking for things about the Pam Bondi situation. And I came across, I'm sure you know who he is, Sean Ryan. He went off, and I'm going to share with you guys, and I want to forewarn you that he does drop a couple F-bombs in here. So if you're sensitive, I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch, turn it down, block your ears. I'm not sure what to tell you with that, but just letting you know.
Pam Bondi in front of Congress the other day talking about how the Dow's up to 50,000. Nobody gives a fuck, because what you should be talking about is how you are going to investigate and prosecute any pedophiles that were running around on Epstein Island that you're affiliated with. But we didn't talk about that, did we?
I think he kind of put it in a nutshell, like, where are the arrests? And so I think that kind of sums it up, right?
Yeah. For those of you that don't know Sean Ryan, so he was a Navy SEAL back all the way as early, I think, as pre 9/11. Spent, I think, maybe 8 or 10 years or so in the SEAL teams in the Navy, and then got out and went into the CIA and was a ground branch, action guy for CIA for a few years, and then got out of that. That sentiment that you got out of him right there is consistent all the time. Yeah. It is about accountability. It is about, focusing on the things that we all want to see happen, and not things that, the shiny object over here. Hey, the Dow's at 50,000, which she actually said. It's become a meme, by the way. I don't know if you've seen. It's been a number.
I
of
haven't
memes,
seen it
actually.
yet. Oh
like,
my goodness.
A lady sitting in her car. Police
Yeah.
officer walks up. It's like, do you know how fast you were going? And she says, did you know the Dow's at 50,000? I mean, it's like it's gotten that bad. But
awesome.
Sean's sentiment is exactly where the rest of us are at. And that is whether it's Epstein or really anything else that's going on. Like, why has Governor Walz not been indicted?
Right.
Like, where's that at? Right.
Yeah. Where is it? Come on. This is about as clear as it gets.
Like all of these things that we're all expecting action on and nothing's happening. Like where, so he voiced it for a lot of us. And that's why I'm disappointed in her. I'm disappointed in her performance thus far because she's not doing the simplest things, because, like he said, if we arrest everybody, then the entire system crumbles. Well, then the system needs to crumble.
It needs to crumble.
We'll figure it out after that. But if you're worried about the system falling apart to protect some people who are doing some pretty heinous things, then the system needs to fall apart, and we'll move on after that. So
we're all going to recover just fine from any collateral damage of that. We'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I don't care. Maybe you won't be fine. Maybe those people won't be fine. But none of us give a hoot whatsoever about how it affects them.
Obviously, she's thinking about her future and all of those things when that's not what any of us care about.
Yeah.
So,
Clay, this next one, you put that out there, and I really did want to say no to it, Clay, because I cannot even stand. I can't. I know it makes me a bad person. I know. Can't stand them. So much so that I'm not even talking about him, Clay. You talk.
So for those of you, this is one of those, like we talk collectively about election interference in a lot of ways. We talk about Russiagate. We talk about, the Dems stealing the election from President Trump in 2020, right? We talk about election interference in a lot of ways. This to me is the most blatant election interference that no one is talking about. And so you've got Hakeem Jeffries, who obviously is a state level or a state elected federal level official, right? So he's a congressman for the state of New York. And so right now, what you've got going on in Maryland is a vote on redistricting for their elections. And it's about gerrymandering 100%. And so they're talking about redistricting to the point where it basically eliminates the single standing Republican, in the state of Maryland. And the one person who is stopping this from happening is the Democratic governor of Maryland. Okay. This is a guy, and I don't know Maryland well. I don't know this governor well, but he is a guy who has said, this is not right. Like the gerrymandering, we're doing this on purpose. We're trying to make sure that there's no Republicans. This is not right. And it doesn't represent Maryland the way that it should. And he is the one who is stopping this from happening at this point. And so Hakeem Jeffries, again, an elected official from the state of New York, who is a congressman, has said out loud that he may have to go down there or he may have to call the governor of Maryland and make sure that this gets fixed. Now, what in the world?
Yeah, exactly.
What influence does he think he has or should have or have any part of in a state where he is not a resident? Like, where does he get off being from New York? I understand he's a congressman. I don't care. That's not his state. Stay out of it. If the congressman from Maryland want to get involved, different discussion. But you're from New York, buddy. Stay out of it. That to me is blatant election interference, and he should have nothing to do with anything politics-wise outside of his state. I don't care if he's a congressman or not. If it's not yours, don't touch it.
Yep. Yeah. Stay in your lane, Hakeem.
Oh God.
Yeah. He's everything he does, I find infuriating, offensive, obnoxious, self-aggrandizing, you name it, he does it, and he's just absurd. Yeah, he's just absurd. He's got to go.
He's another one of those that I think truthfully is just not smart. I really don't. Like, watching him speak, watching him act in public, like, I really do not believe he is that intelligent. And again, it makes me wonder, in the same vein of AOC and some others, like, how did this guy get elected, and how does he continue to get elected? Because he just does not put off a vibe that he is all that intelligent.
Yep. What do they call him? The Wish version or the Timu version of Obama?
Yeah,
Timu
right.
Obama.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, so that's that. I cannot wait for the day when he just gets shoved right out of office, because it'll happen hopefully someday.
Sooner or later it will.
Hopefully. Let's go on to this one here. Oh, they just make us so tired. Like, you just are so absurd. So, Silence of the Lambs, for anyone old enough to remember, or who's just a movie buff and likes those old movies, I am a fan of Anthony Hopkins. I adore Anthony Hopkins as an actor. He's one of my favorite all-time actors. So that's not my type of movie, actually, but I watched it because of him. It is an iconic movie. So the guy who played Buffalo Bill, who is Ted Levine, is that how you pronounce his last name? Thank you. Iconic role. Everybody knows the line. If you say, maybe you don't even know where you heard this from, but if you ever say in your lifetime, it puts the lotion on, then you are a Silence of the Lambs fan, you know. And so anyhow, he played Buffalo Bill, and he recently, I guess it was in an interview, yes, or some type of public thing, he expressed regret over the role amid transgender criticism. He argued that the character contributed to harmful stereotypes. He insists that he never, here's the interesting part, he insists that he never played Buffalo Bill as gay or transgender, and he described him instead as a effed up heterosexual man. And this, very interestingly now, this aligns with director Jonathan Demme's 2014 explanation that the character's obsession with becoming a woman was another way to escape his self-loathing, not genuine gender dysphoria. So that in itself is interesting, that they apparently always said that, or always, portrayed it that way. But anyhow, I guess the nuance clearly got lost in translation for audiences over the recent, decade or so. The character is explicitly described as not being transgender. Yet now, because of everything being about transgenderism and their sensitivities and their feelings, now we have to dust off this movie from more than a decade ago. Well, 2 decades. What was it? 1991. It was written into the script. Okay, yeah. So going back quite a while now. We got to dust it off, bring it all the way up to 2026, and say, everybody, look at me about this movie and this character in this role, and now I regret it. Like, it's the role that put you on the map as an actor. I actually watched, does anybody know the show, the series Monk? I watched I watched that like way long after it ended, and I just caught it streaming, and I binge watched it because I like the lead actor there. And the whole time I did not know that the guy who played the chief was Ted Levine, Buffalo Bill. It's one and the same. And I finally, at some point, like near the end of the series, I was like, who is that actor? Anyhow, he does look kind of familiar to me, but I can't place it. And I was like, what? So yeah, funny, like jarring realization there for me. But all I can say, guys, is this is so silly. You're retroactively apologizing for a character in a film that is more than 20 years old, and that is frankly irrelevant now. It is not your or my or anyone's responsibility to cater to the feelings of any certain population. Enough with the nonsense already, and enough of the virtue signaling and I'm an ally crap and all of this stuff. Like, dude, nobody even cared, and if they did, it's such a small percentage of people. You're just trying to be important again, basically, and get in good with a certain crowd. I can't.
So Levine, you're right. Levine the guy has an amazing career, and he does so many bit parts that people don't connect the dots, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, and it's his voice, right? His voice is so, it is very distinct. But he was in the original Fast and the Furious movie, right? People don't realize that, right? He was in the, of the 3 Chris Pratt Jurassic Park movies, he was in the second one of those, right? He was, there's the guy, he has one of those careers in IMDb that you go, oh my God, that was him. Oh my God, that was him. But Buffalo Bill, the character itself, if like you're worried about, him being trans, the guy was one of the most sinister, evil characters ever. He had the psychological issues inside of that character, like even if he was trans, are the least of the issues. Like the guy was a kidnapper, he was a murderer, he filleted people, like it's crazy, like all of the horrible things, and they're like, oh well, it makes trans people look bad. No, it makes people look bad. Like the guy was a lunatic, I mean, it's all, and so there's all of that. And yet, no, Levine shouldn't have gone back and apologized for this. It is, like you said, it's this virtue signaling, whatever you want to call it. But folks, the fact that the trans community, and I'm probably going to upset some people when I say this, but just 2 days ago, by the way, folks, we're actually recording early this week. Today is Tuesday. It is early afternoon now, almost 5 p.m. On the East Coast. But yesterday, or was the day before, there was a shooting at a Rhode Island hockey rink by a transgender male to female who came in, shot his ex-wife, shot his child, I think shot her parents, and some other people. There's, a number of wounded in and amongst this. And has anybody, and oh, by the way, he's not the first. If you go back and look at the last probably 20 mass shootings, a vast majority of them were conducted by trans people. Okay. This is not, I'm not making this up. You can look it up for yourself. But I have you, I know I haven't, but I'm pretty sure you haven't either. Have you heard anybody from the trans community come out and apologize for the conduct of one of their own?
What a phenomenal point, Clay. What a phenomenal point. Nope.
They have not. Right?
Not a one.
But they want everybody to apologize to them for a 30-year-old character in a 30-year-old movie that makes them potentially look bad. Right? How about take accountability for your own demographic, your own people, your trans community, and step up, and take accountability for that and apologize for the conduct of those of your own. If you want to be accepted, which is what they all claim they want to be accepted as equals, take accountability, own up to it. Let everybody know, yes, this individual was trans. Yes, this individual is part of our community. We apologize for the conduct of someone from our community. You'll never get that from them. And because of that, no one should ever apologize for something like what Levine apologized for. Because until you own your own problems, I'm not apologizing for jack. Nothing. You should never ask for one. So I don't want to hear it from anybody.
Oh, I am so on board. I am mentally slow clapping, giving you a standing ovation for that one, because I'm right there with you on it. And I'm also right there with, I don't really care who agrees and disagrees with that. Disagree all you want, but that is such a phenomenal point that, you want all of these things. You want these apologies and grand statements from people for your community, for your community's hurt and suffering and pain and anguish. Yet when someone from your community creates an act of violence, nothing, crickets. So yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I just mentioned, what a segue. I just mentioned our comments. It's the topic we've been waiting to get to not all day, but all episode, I guess. Clay, we we bothered people apparently with the you did, yes. It is mainly you, but apparently some of them were mad at me too at my reaction, which we'll get to, which is even funnier to me. Like, it's funny enough. So last week, Clay and we talked about the Super Bowl, and as I do with every episode that we do, I make some clips from, reels, whatever you want to call them, reels, shorts, TikTok videos, call them whatever you want. They're just short form videos from the show. And I, make a whole bunch of them, and I take a selection of them and I put them out and on the different platforms. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think about them ever again. I just put them out there and people, comment or not. And that's that. Well, I did the same thing last week as I always do. And one of those clips was a short one from about our discussion about the Super Bowl. Well, that bugger went viral, as we said at the top of the show. Over 2.2 million views on my channel. There's another soccer devoted channel that has another 2 million or something like that. And Clay is the one that pointed it out to me. He sends me a text. He's like, that video is going viral. I'm like, which one? What are you talking about? And he's like, the Super Bowl one. And I'm like, the Super Bowl one? And I'm thinking, oh, was that, we must have been talking about Bad Bunny and everybody's all up in arms. Well, the answer to that is, no, it wasn't that, guys. It wasn't that. It was, let's see. Do I have the actual video? I'll put up the actual video. Let's see. Here it is. Let's see if this is
that their goal, and Americans are not going to want to hear this. You know me, I'm a soccer guy. Okay. My favorite statistic of the day was that about somewhere between 155 and 160 million people watched the Super Bowl. Okay. The pinnacle of American sport, the Super Bowl, single game, 160 million people. Sunday morning, there was a regular season, non-playoff, nothing, just a regular season English soccer match between Manchester City and Liverpool that had 750 million watchers.
What?
Okay.
What?
So yeah, no kidding. And that's not an exaggeration, folks. You can look it up, but that's reality. Wow. Okay.
That's it. That's all it was, guys. It's all it was. Very simple. Just a quick, back and forth here. And well, let me tell you, let's see. I don't even know which ones I'm pulling up here, but I'm pulling up random. So you got yelled at for having the audacity. How dare you to call it soccer instead of football? So the comment for those of you listening and not watching, this guy or girl, I don't know, says, if you are a quote unquote soccer guy, stop calling it like that. It's called football. It has a ball and it's played with the feet. And I'm saying it like that because there's lots of exclamation points. The other thing is played with an egg-shaped thing and it's played with the hands. It should be called hand egg. The rage in that comment is hilarious to me. So let me just defend you, Clay. Not that you need my defending. He knows what it's actually called. It was within the context of the conversation, and it's referred to here as soccer. So we're talking primarily, yes, we have some international audience member, but generally we're speaking to American audiences who are very keyed into American football. It really was not intended, right, Clay, to create such offense.
Yeah, we were talking in context of the Super Bowl versus, a soccer match, and to go back and forth and say, football or American football, American football would have been confusing for everybody.
Yeah,
it's just easier to say football and soccer. I can tell you that in my house and in my personal conversations, I do refer to it as football. I do refer to it as a pitch. I do refer to them as boots and not cleats. I do use all of the normal lingo that goes along with it. But to say that to the audience and during the discussion that we were having was just going to cause confusion. But again, people only saw that clip. They did not bother to look at the larger context of the conversation, and they got upset. So What else you got? There's more.
What else? Let's see what else. This somebody who must be international said Americans thinking Super Bowl is the biggest sporting event is wild. Laughing emojis. Cricket gets more views than Super Bowl. Facts. And I feel like he did the whole with the hands facts when he said that. Okay. I mean, again, context of the conversation. Nobody is arguing that. As a matter of fact, you were actually arguing for he was really making your own point to some degree, because you were talking about how much bigger it is internationally, soccer.
And that the NFL is chasing an international audience, and they're trying to expand their market. And the numbers that they're trying to chase are numbers like that Man City Liverpool game of 750 million people. And that they're having more games overseas. And that's why they're having people like Bad Bunny not speaking English at the halftime show. That was the context of the conversation. But again, people react the way they react.
They sure do. What else? There were a couple more. Let's see. Oh, this part. So I was scrolling for comments and I see this one and I almost scrolled right past it. And then I stopped. I went, oh, wait, he's talking about me. What's his problem with me? I barely said anything. Well, it's that I had the audacity again to say what. So this person says that she said what is crazy to me. Are Americans living in this planet with us or not? Well, I guess not. And so this guy, Phila, I don't know, whatever his name is. Dude, I am so sorry that I don't watch sports anymore. So I do not have any scope of understanding of what is going on, even here, sports wise. You know why? because I don't really care. So I'm sorry that angered you to the point of distraction that you had to actually leave a comment that you were annoyed that I said what in surprise at hearing the numbers. So, I mean, I there's nothing to backpedal here on that. I was surprised, and that's that. So emotional over it. Let's see. We got one more, I think, on this one. Let's see. One more comment. Let's see. Oh, he says, the problem with Americans is that they never want to know what's happening outside America. Everything is about America. I sometimes question the education system in America. I think it's very poor because most of them know nothing about the world. They don't even know the difference between a country and a continent. Such a shame. So, yeah, I mean, there were so many big feelings in the comment section of this. And, could you have ever imagined that such a simple, short little clip of nothing that seemed controversial at the time became so controversial?
Yeah, and certainly not to grab the attention that it got at all.
No.
Again, so, folks, no kidding, 4 million views across 2 accounts. And we don't even know if it's gone anywhere else. That's just what's been, what we found between Elsa's account and this other account. And so, but there are thousands and thousands of comments across the spectrum, both, supporting what we were talking about, and then examples like we just showed you. But yes, of all of the things that Elsa and I have talked about for the last 2.5 years, that is the thing that has gotten the most attention. Not remotely controversial, not remotely politically driven, nothing. But that is what has caught fire. So funny. So
crazy. Funny. You never know what's going to catch the attention of people and provoke all of the emotions from them. And I don't know. I jokingly apologize, but please don't ever take that as an actual apology. I'm not even remotely sorry. I'm not sorry for saying what. Clay is not sorry for making the comparison between the sports, which was, again, part of a larger conversation. And I think even the caption for that basically lets people know, like, hey, this is part of a show. There's actually more to this. You can watch Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern if you'd like to get the full story of what we're talking about. Or not, just comment angrily.
We're here every week.
We're here every week, kids. Oh my goodness. Well, that was fun. We listen, whether you love us or hate us in that comment section, we appreciate you. So thank you. And we look forward to creating more viral videos for you, I guess. I don't know. Oh, Clay, you go ahead and send them off for this week.
Folks, we do appreciate it. I mean, most of those views were not from our regular listeners and watchers, and you guys who are with us every week, we appreciate you. We always we say it all the time. We look forward to doing this for you because you've been supporting us, from the get-go, and we love you all and support, and we appreciate the support. So we will see you, like we said, this week, and then again next week. And until then, from me, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
The headlines will change by tomorrow, but the patterns won't. Thanks for spending this time with us. We'll be back to keep asking the harder questions and telling the quieter truths. Until then, stay grounded, be discerning, and we'll see you next time.